it was a massive purposeful transformation. There's certainly the predatory sales kind of folks who are just like, let's message a
Yes.
million people and blah, blah, blah. But most of us just, we're human. We want to talk to another human. Yeah, maybe we'll do business together too, but I don't even know yet. So let's just have a conversation. So
Right.
with Alaska, we got to go to several places and where, it's salmon season, it's where the bears are and stuff like
Mhm.
that.
What is up? If you're a coach, a service provider, or business owner, you are in the place to learn how to build your business. Welcome to Legend Maker Radio. I'm your host, Tanya Daka. This is where we build legends who rebuild the world through marketing, mindset, and messaging. And each week, I bring you the actionable steps, the inspiring stories, and the motivation you need to move your business forward quickly. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate you and your time. Let's jump into this week's episode.
What is up,
What is
TD?
up? Oh my God. It has only been like, I don't know, a decade or what?
Yeah, 10, 20, 30
Holy
years.
cow.
Ugh.
It does feel like it though. You have been up to some massive shit, Broski.
I don't know about that. Doing some stuff, but I don't know. Trying to
I
move
don't know.
forward.
Sounds legendary to me.
That's it. We'll
Covering
find
the
out.
what was it? What was it? Uh,
Mayweather Pacquiao fight. Yeah, yeah.
how do you land something like that?
Well, it was with the production company that I was with at the time back in Dallas and stuff like that. And that was the most random thing to be like their production company when they've got HBO involved, Showtime involved, but Mayweather needed to manage the event. They didn't have anyone in place. And he's a fucking scumbag. But
Really?
in his whole organization, yeah, he's like known through Vegas to be just like, I mean, we all know how many hundreds of millions of dollars he has, and he's still like never paid for his stuff like that company fully.
Holy
We did a
shit.
second fight to get some of that money back, still never paid that, and he's like known for that in
Oh
his.
my God.
But anyway, it was an amazing time to be a producer down there and produce content that played in the arena and got aired and put his whole walkout thing to be ringside for all that. That was a blast.
I bet. I bet. And now you've moved to, you're no longer in Texas, you're now in Colorado. Are you like still doing the thing in Colorado? You're still doing the production?
So most of what I do now is all remote stuff. My show, putting shows together for other folks, and then
Yeah.
video content and stuff for doing that remotely for folks, and really moving into the coaching aspect of all that. So
How is that? How do you like that?
I love it. It's now that I've finally, gotten out of my own way and given myself permission to to do
To
it.
teach? Like you
Yeah,
didn't
to
have the
coach and just got
qualifications?
yeah, because it's just like I've done it anyway during the whole, like when I would be doing the service and stuff for folks. But it's like, okay, you're allowed to just do that part if you want to. Like, yeah,
I
I guess so.
got the permission slip now.
Yeah. So what about you? Catch
I
me
am
up.
just doing the thing, just doing the thing. I'm still writing copy. I'm still trying to boost up business owners and make them feel what you had to learn to feel, so that you could step into your role as a coach. So the mental work behind accepting your fate.
That's
So
right.
I'm just behind the scenes doing the thing, and we put together this little radio show where we interview legend makers like yourself who have done really killer shit, and that's it. Just having a good time, basically.
Cool. Cool. What's the goal with the new show and reason for it and end goal and all that stuff?
Well, the end goal is just to give people some action and inspiration and motivation. I don't really have any other, like, I don't have any, I'm not the professional sort of, I need to have a monetary whatever tied to this or whatever. I just want to have fun. I'm here to have fun. I'm here to meet people, to do cool stuff, and hopefully be inspired myself. So, I thought if I'm
Cool.
going to do it, I might as well let everybody come along for the ride.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what I mean too. Like it doesn't have to be like a, excuse me, a monetization of the show necessarily, but
Yeah.
certainly a great positioning tool and just, do some things in public, and sometimes just the greatest networking tool there is.
Well, you said something right there, to do something in public, and this is me getting out of my comfort zone, basically. So this is me just like taking a sledgehammer to that wall that said, I don't want to be out there. I don't want to talk. I don't want to see. I don't want to introduce and be. And I'm like, I had my first guest last week and I was like, oh my God, this is insane. It's so fun. So and then you guys like blew up the calendar and was like, I want to be on. I was like, oh my God. Okay. So I guess we're doing this now.
Yeah.
Trial by fire.
That's right. Well, you had that show with Jason Falls for a while, right?
Yeah. That was a very, very, very cool experience. That hint, Jason, if you see this, that maybe we can replicate one day. But I had to get out of it because the timing wasn't right for where I was in my life. So I had to dip. He carried on, but then I started the Copy Arena podcast with my copywriting stuff. But again, I feel like you feel like you get in this little pigeonhole, and it's like, I gotta get out of here, And so I needed to get outside of copy and whatever. So that's what expanded me. But we're not here to talk about me. People don't want to talk about me. They want to talk about Jason Croft. They want to talk. I see you doing cool interviews in your car. Is that
I did.
current? Yeah, no. Okay, that's a past.
Yeah, back when I was still in Dallas. So yeah, because I guess when you and I last were really like, doing stuff and on all that fun stuff. I had Startup Dallas. That was the first show I did, and then fell in love with that. Felt the power of that and everything. And then I was leaving that production company, and I knew like I've still got to do a show. Like it's in my soul now. Like I got to do I got to do this. So I was like, okay, what's the most contained? Because I got to do it all myself now. So I'm going from a 3-camera shoot in a studio, someone else editing. Like I do this all myself now. What's the most contained version of this? So yeah, I took a cue from Seinfeld and James Corden and did the kidnapping entrepreneurs, throwing them in the car and driving around with it, and did that for a while, which was an absolute blast. Did 80-something episodes of that.
Amazing. So who is the most like mind-blowing guest you had on your show? If you can remember back 80 episodes.
Well, in that one, it was funny because there were a number of just multi-millionaire type folks. Totally blanking on his name right now. Owns tons of restaurants, Macaroni Grill, like all the. I'm completely blanking on his name right now, but yeah.
But he's a restaurateur, huh?
Yeah, and had made millions, and then got into the restaurant business and made millions more, and
Poor guy.
And there were a number of those folks who were just like, in the back of my head, it's just like they know this is just a little YouTube show, right? But it's like
nobody tipped them off.
Yeah, but that was the big lesson that I got from both of those shows, was that it didn't matter. He even told me it was because it was different. It was something unique, and it's just a chance for them to tell their story. And it doesn't matter how small your audience is. They now have a piece of content they can put in front of their audience.
True.
And it's just one more validation piece. Hey, I was featured on this, this show in this way.
Very cool.
So yeah.
So you said you're loving Colorado. What has like been the hardest thing to shift to after leaving Texas?
I mean, it's all pretty awesome, especially the weather. I came out here definitely for the mountains. It's just, I've been trying to get out here for forever for that. Oh, by the way, Phil Romano was his name. That's what I was looking at.
All right.
Anyway, cool. But yeah, it's been great. The biggest shift that actually ended up being awesome was coming out here and leaving not only my in-person network, because I went through like a transformation, a purposeful transformation to be this connector type person, right? And I was the furthest thing in the world from it. And yeah, I read Malcolm Gladwell's The Tipping Point, and I still remember reading about that. Like it's like mavens, salespeople, and connectors. And I remember reading about that description for a connector, and I was just like, oh, I want to be that. Like I don't know why. And that was everything. So that's what one of the things that led to that first show, Startup Dallas, and on and on. But I was hosting networking event every week and being brought in to speak and host other events. Like it just blew up to this thing to where I went from, being sort of, if I ever went to a networking event, my back's against the wall, I'm like, we'll see.
Watching everybody do their thing.
Yeah, exactly. To just like busting through the doors. What's up, everybody? Just shifting all of that. And so I moved out here September of 2019. So right before the pandemic. So it was like both things happened. I left my in-person network of folks who, was constantly interacting with the scene. Plus major shutdown happened anyway. So I had to figure out this remote version of connecting, of having a show that's remote, because all of my shows have been in person, and I love that so much. I didn't want to do a remote show. Like, I love that in-person aspect. But thank goodness I was forced into that and to figure out, well, how do I make this look good? Right. Because that's what I do. So it's like, it's got to look professional and look sharp, but still be remote. And so once I got that dialed in and started doing the show strategy and action, that was fantastic, because that really opened up the world then.
That's cool. That's very cool. And you and I have a little history that goes way back before that explosion, that Malcolm Gladwell introduction. And you had a very sort of like your skill is obvious in what you do and what you bring to the world. But when I started seeing you like show up the way you were showing up, I was like, it was Brave was just like right before that, right? Like it was not before that. It was probably 3 years maybe before that. Or was it more? It might have been 6 years before that, maybe. Yeah, but
no, it would have been in that. It would have been that same world, because I remember there was a 6-year stint that I worked at that production company when I went through this, and I did that first show, and I was there when you and I were doing the Brave thing and all that. So it was right in there. It was within a year or two.
And then here you are, like owning the mic, owning the screen and the production and everything else. It's really cool. It's really cool because like, I don't think I ever remember, you that being like, like you said, you read that connector bit by Malcolm Gladwell. But I don't remember you being like, this is what I want to do kind of thing. So yeah, you said it was just a surprise. Now, what steps took you from seeing that and then actioning on it? Did you find it to be a difficult road to take action on? Did you find a lot of resistance in showing up?
It's funny, because I've been recently trying to retrace those steps and realizing as I make the transition I want to make now of, into more coaching aspect and all of that, I've looked back at that time of like, okay, what did I do? Even, how was I being, what was the decision-making process? Because it was a massive purposeful transformation. It's like, okay, how can I do that again? Because obviously I can do this. So how do we do that? And I think several factors. One was the spark, right? Reading that in the book and not even knowing that was something that would light me up. So there's the spark for it. Oh, that's a thing that exists. I could be that, it just paints that picture. And then going on that very purposeful, it was about a year of that let's build the skills. I was getting, books on how to be, how to interact, how to network better, how to communicate, and, build all those skills. I think there's a level of, I turned 40 at the time, and it was like, there's a level of like,
Okay.
oh, I don't give a shit what people think. This is amazing. I just realized that, so there's a mental shift there for sure.
Yeah.
The show that I started was a marketing initiative for the production company I was working for. So that wasn't like, that wasn't a piece of it, an intentional piece to go, oh, that'll help me be a better connector. It was just like, oh,
It
well,
just
here's this
fell in
thing I think we
place.
should do. Yeah.
Mhm.
But by doing it and doing those reps, doing 80 something episodes of that show, it was like, and then what it led to was immediate seat at the table in the startup community. So I was going to all these events, hosting, I took over a networking event that I did for several years. Like, so that's a big piece of it too. It's like purposely looking for these skills, jumping in and, obviously wanting it, and then building those skills. But then it's just the reps. I mean,
Yeah.
over and over and over and over again. And all of those things, I think, converged to do it. And as I'm speaking about it right now, it's just like, well, that's a big missing piece that I have right now on the coaching side of like, oh, that's a big missing piece. It's the reps. Just get in there, do it,
Get it
talk about
done.
it. This is what I do. Yeah.
So it was almost like you had little resistance because you had the purpose, like you had that spark, right? So you didn't have as big of a wall of resistance as to someone who's, say, just trying to break into something for the sake of breaking into something like this. Like it felt natural for you. It felt like a natural progression of who you were becoming. Maybe would you say that that's kind of accurate?
Yeah, I think so. And it wasn't. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to think back, even mentally back at the time. It was just there was that decision, but and even though the idea of, let's say, hosting anything or standing on a stage or even just going to a network, even though that was fear before, again, those things kind of convert like, oh, now there's a bigger reason. It's not about me. It's like, I want to be this connector. I want to go in and, and just all of the other stuff lets go a little bit. And that was the piece too, that was that I say it was sort of like a year progress, because it was about a year from making that decision, reading that, like, oh, I really want to do that, to getting a call one day from someone there in Dallas who's just awesome. She's like, everyone knows her for knowing everybody. Like, oh, you need someone, you call her. Like, she knows everybody, right? And getting that call one day from her going, hey, I'm looking for this kind of person. You know everybody. So what, who do you recommend to come speak at my thing? And I was just like, oh, that's cool. Like, okay, I'm known as that connector now here, just in my way, and
you earned the rank.
Yeah. So that was a cool little marker,
Yeah. That's awesome. So it kind of one could say that you orchestrated the events possibly by, wait, what am I trying to say? You opened up the space for it for yourself. Like you were ready for it. And so by being ready for it, you were okay to say yes to these things as they came up. So that's really cool, because a lot of times entrepreneurs, business owners, coaches find themselves where you are, or where you were recently with stepping into the coaching space. Like, not like, maybe they don't have the skills yet, or maybe but doing those reps as you did, like going through and learning how to do the things that you didn't know how to do, really sort of gives you the confidence to say yes, and gives somebody the confidence to say yes when the opportunity comes up, and maybe even makes the opportunity a possibility for themselves, because, they do the thing. So that's really, really cool. And with your coaching, what, like, who are you coaching in this space?
Yeah. So my ideal client is a coach, a consultant. They've been doing it. They're experts. They've been doing this at least, 5, 6, 7 years. They've got
Mm-hmm.
their methodology down.
Mm-hmm.
They just need that. They just need to be in front of more clients, of more potential clients. They need to just, the ones who hire them, they love them, and that's no
Right.
problem once they have that
Right.
conversation, just to be in front of more folks. So I help them put together. So the program I'm building right now helps them put together a video podcast that is really becomes this hub for everything else that they do. So it just gives them a platform to channel their expertise and how they help people with a combo of solo episodes and interviews. Both are critical in this like system we build out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a single endeavor, so that it's not this overwhelming, okay, do I need Facebook ads, do I need this, do I need like all
Right.
of that can come, but it's to stand in that. And it's just an extension of what they're already doing. They're helping
Right.
people, they're educating, they're guiding people. Well, they're just going to do some of that in public, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And
Step from behind the curtain now.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
exactly.
you are do you also coach them on what they need to create, like what kind of content they need to create, or do you just teach them like the technical stuff?
It's even more of the content than the technical. We'll get through that. Everyone
Okay,
needs
cool.
that. Like, they'll get the basics. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's really, and just depending on where they are, and they may have all of their methodology. Even when they do, they've got their IP and they know how they help people and they need to spread that word. Well, kind of help them translate that over to video. How do we make sure that's presented in the best way, right?
Right.
So
And
from the very
position them.
beginning, yeah, exactly. So we break that down in the structure, and then help them with the show that they build, so that anytime somebody listens to that, watches that, they know exactly who that person helps, how they help them, how they could possibly
Mm-hmm.
work with them. So make
Mm-hmm.
sure that, hey, this is your thing. Like, you need your own commercials in there. We want to make sure that, that's
Yeah,
built
yeah,
into
yeah.
the whole process.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when it comes to interviews, bring on ideal clients to your show, bring on strategic partners. It's just the greatest kind of light touch sales tool there is,
Yeah.
and certainly the greatest networking tool that there is. It's phenomenal. It's just how we're wired as humans, right? Like, if I want to talk to somebody and it's just like a random message on LinkedIn, it's just like, hey, I'd like to get on a phone call with you for 30 minutes. Like, no, what?
No,
But
no.
hey, I've got this show. I've put this thing together. I'd love what you're doing in this space. I'd love to have you on for 30 minutes. I'm like, oh, sure, no problem. Like, let's do that.
That's
And
very
and
cool.
so many of us are just looking for that. We just want that first conversation, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's certainly the predatory sales kind of folks who are just like, let's message a
Yes.
million people and blah blah blah. But most of us just, we're human. We want to talk to another human. Yeah, maybe we'll do business together too, but I don't even know yet. So let's just have a conversation. And it's just one more way to break that down and facilitate that.
And it makes it far more relaxed conversation than trying to shoot somebody a cold DM on LinkedIn
Right.
or whatever, right? Like it feels like you said, we're human and that connection is just really all we're looking for. Whatever comes out of it comes out of it. If
Yeah.
nothing else, your audience will learn something, grow from it, and you'll be maybe even more endeared to them when the content is done for the day or whatever. So it's brilliant. And I had back when we were doing Brave, going back again to the middle of nowhere, like I could not have done this, right? So do you get your ideal clients in front of the camera who are reluctant? Like, are you ever in that position where it's like you have to kind of show them that tough love, push them a little bit, or do you just say, hey, when you're ready, show up?
Yeah, I haven't encountered anyone just who's gone through the process, signed up, I'm working with, and they're terrified of that. I mean, that can be one of those objections, right? Even all the way down to, presentations that I give around this idea that, hey, everybody's a media company now. I don't
It
care what
really is
business you're
true.
in. Yeah, you're in the business of media. So
Yep.
there is a level of tough love. There is a level of like, okay, yeah, it's hard. Suck it up. Like, too bad.
Yeah.
If you
Go
want to
do it.
stand out, if you want to get this result, you just have to do it. And that comes in when someone is going through this process. And I tell everyone it's the last thing you're going to want to do. I promise. But you got to do it is listen to every episode back that you do, watch every episode back that you do. And you're laughing because it's the last thing you want to do.
Oh my God.
None of us like the sound of our voice. None of us like how we appear, and we're micromanaging. But I promise you what happens, because it happened to me, and it takes a lot of episodes. But even that first show I did, Startup Dallas, I listened back, even though I wasn't editing, I listened back to every episode. I still remember being in the car listening to an episode and just yelling at myself, just like, finish a sentence, man. What is your problem? Like, oh my, I still remember the episode. But what will happen is a couple of amazing things. One is it improves your communication skills across the board, like outside of media, just in real life. You realize that little phrase that you say 1,000 times that is, what are you doing? But the other thing that happens is you become objective, or I always get those mixed, subjective, objective, but you really get you distance yourself from that emotional, and you actually start listening and watching from a place of like, oh, that's a really good point. Oh, that was said really well. Oh, yeah, that could work. And you don't think that that's ever going to happen, right? Because you're just like, oh my gosh, because it's you, and it's there's so much emotion tied up into that. But it's an amazing shift that happens during that, and you can really be objective to the whole thing and go like, oh, okay, this is a good piece of content. This is a not so good, and stand out from them.
That, and then I was laughing my ass off with that one, because that's literally like, because that's you have to force yourself to do that. You literally do have to force it. But like you said, I think it's becoming numb. What is it? It's the more you're exposed to something, the less it impacts you. So put in the reps. We're going back to your first step. Put in the reps. Listen to your show. Listen to what you did right. Listen to what you want to fix for next time, and don't attach meaning to it, right? Like, and just keep doing it. So I mean, this is really great. And with this, like, do you have a course also where you're teaching them, or you only do one-on-one, or do you do group? How do you get business owners together to do this?
Putting it all together right now, it's one-on-one. What I'm putting together I've got 2 standalone courses that I'm in the middle of putting together. Yes, finally. I'll just say finally, because it's been in the Evernote, right? Of like, here's what this should happen, right? I could finish in a weekend, right? It's one of those projects, right? That we all have. Like, if I would just sit down and do this, it would be done. Right now, the main way that I'm coaching people is part of a bigger program, so that there's coaching, there's coursework, there's one-on-one and all that. It makes sense for that to become a group coaching offer as well. I'm going to get the one-on-ones down right now first, and get some results for folks, and then probably move that into a group version as well.
That's very cool. And how long have you been like at the coaching aspect of this? Like, this is a thing, not a,
oh my gosh, like a couple of months. Like, this is brand new of finally letting that in. Like I said, it's all right. Again, it's another mental ridiculous. It's one of those, I'm sure many of us have, everyone else standing around going,
why haven't you done this yet?
Yeah. It's like, it's what you do anyway. You're good at this. You're good at that. Why don't you do it? Exactly. I'm like, I know. I'm just in my own way. And they're like, okay, well, quit being stupid and put it together.
Go do it. Just go do it. Now, I expect Monday, I expect a message saying that you completed that Evernote
Perfect.
transformation into ping me on
Perfect.
Messenger. Let me
I
know you're done.
Yeah, and fortunately, two quick things on that. Like,
Mhm.
fortunately, I've had the most. Did you see those balloons?
What was that?
That has happened one other time on a Zoom call. I swear, last week, and we were both just like, "What was that?" They're like, "Did you
I didn't
have
touch
something hooked in?"
anything.
I know, and I was like, two quick things on that. Like, I'm trying to I tried to repeat the other thing
Triggered
that I
it.
said. I
It didn't
That's so
trigger it.
baffling. Is this an audio only podcast?
No, it's video.
Okay, I just make so people will see what we're talking about. That's what I want to.
Yeah.
That's why I
Although
asked.
we should make it audio just to confuse the shit out of people anyway.
Yeah,
Just for that. But anyway, go ahead.
but
The two things.
yeah. What the heck was I talking about? Thanks for distracting me, Zoom, and your balloon effects. Um. Oh yeah. So I've been really fortunate to have the most, I mean, just amazing people around me. Part of that's been a purposeful surrounding myself with people who are amazing coaches and just do all that, as well as, I mean, internationally, I've had some of the most amazing people just show up in my life and like,
Wow.
hey, I'd love to help you with this and this. And I'm like, I would love that. I have no budget for that right now. Like anything like, I know, just like we'll figure something out. I want to help you with it. And like
I
name a
love it.
country and there's someone in it and all around. I'm just unbelievably honored. And
Awesome.
I got to a place of just of letting that in too, right? And letting that help in and go, please. I need help, obviously. So I'll take it. Please guide me on that.
That's
But I
awesome.
do have it sparked because you mentioned that Monday deadline. I do have a brand new show, audio only, solo show coming out called The Power Content Coach.
Mm.
And the reason it's significant is it's another step in this, partly this allowing on the coaching side, but also standing in my just like what you're feeling, standing in my strength, like
Yeah.
putting myself out there. And it seems silly to folks probably because I mean, again, this I got to get past this 80 episode thing. I'm at 88 episodes of strategy and action now too. There was 80 of the other one, 80 other. So after all of those, like that's interviews. That's me talking to
Yeah.
somebody. That's easy
Yeah.
for me. Like I can do that
Yeah.
all day long, right? I
Yeah.
can whatever. The second I sit down, just me and the camera, it's a whole different ball game for some
It
reason.
literally is. It literally is.
Yeah, and it's so but I felt this call, I've felt this tug for I mean a couple of years now. And for some reason an audio only as much as I'm video guy and it's hard for me not to do video because just it makes so
That's what
much
you do.
sense. Yeah, and what you can do with it. Like that's why I encourage
Hmm.
everyone to do video. There's some draw to that, some pull that I just need to speak out. So that is launching on Monday, for sure. Got those few episodes recorded. It'll be launching, and so
Congrats.
I'm excited for that. It's one of those things too of just like I don't know why. But I'm finally answering and listening to this call and this pull. So there's something there to it and an energy or something. So
I love
we'll
it.
see how that
I
goes.
love it. So now by episode 3, have you already recorded 3 episodes? How many episodes
of
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 the
that one,
new one coming? Yeah.
there's 2 or 3.
Okay. I'll give you by episode 6, you'll be switched to video.
No, no.
No.
If I wasn't doing video already and all my other stuff, there's just
Yeah.
this one's my audio one. Now, what will happen, and again, this makes even less sense for folks who hear this, but there'll be topics, there'll be ones that I turn into YouTube videos that are long form and speaking to that.
Mhm.
And I may overlap. You're like, oh, this one can be both or something like that, but that's going to stay an audio podcast. Um, again, at least for the while, you may be right. Maybe episode 10, I'm like, that is dumb. I'm going to do that,
Well, not as dumb, but like, because I feel like, number one, this is your strength. That is what you do. Then the camera is but I feel like you will, nestle into that idea and find find your your new legs with the new position, with that. And then number three, or whatever I feel like, because you are teaching them to use video, that you will, kind of let it come in and do the thing.
Yeah.
But like you said, if you don't, I mean, it's not like whatever, but I feel like that's Jason. Video is Jason. Jason is video.
Yeah.
How do we do that? How am I going to listen to an audio podcast with Jason Croft on it when I'm supposed to be seeing Jason Croft's face? I don't know how to function like that. So
well, I appreciate that. You're probably alone in that, but I appreciate that. And I'll take it.
I'm literally not.
And if I didn't have, strategy and action, which is video, I have another show called Concentric. That one's in there. There's another one I'm about to start with someone else, and so those, they're out there to point to. Because it's another. It actually is a little bit of an answer of finally doing what I tell other people to do, which is that solo content combo, because it's such a powerful positioning tool out there. So
is this one going to be just you? The audio only is going to be just you? Okay. All right, I'll let you off the hook then. I take back what I said. So I have one quick question, and you don't have to answer this, but not one quick question, but on the spotlight, you were like, on your form, that was your response for the Legend Maker Spotlight. Like, what we are trying to do is build business owners, or help business owners build their world, so that we can then move that out and rebuild the world. And we're doing, like, trying to encourage awareness around topics and projects that may not get the attention that it needs. So you left me an which is fine, as absolutely fine, but does anything spark your passion to be resolved when it comes to climate or animals or anything? Because you did the work in Alaska. Yeah, you videoed those animals in Alaska. You did all that cool stuff, that cool work in Alaska that I wanted you to tell me about too. But like, what comes to mind for you?
The biggest thing for me is around hunger, and where I've given has been food banks, whatever that emotional thing is to that. That's one of the biggest ones for me. And then I've given here locally to some homeless shelters and stuff like that. I want that to be a bigger component, and I haven't prioritized that. I haven't made that a piece of it.
Yeah,
it is, and I'm not worried about it either way. But it's one of those things that's like,
if I could do something about it, I would, or kind of thing.
Yeah. Hunger's a weird. It brings up, and I could not, even think about a time that I was truly hungry, like ever went without or anything like that.
Right.
But it elicits this emotional reaction in me, as though I were at some point. It's really interesting.
If you're remembering a past life or something.
Maybe. I always think about that stuff too. There's a whole story about it. But like when that first hit, that this is weird. I'm having this emotional reaction to potentially even being hungry. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. So what I'll do, if it's okay with you, because you are literally the second Jason this morning. Okay. And his also was
there's only one Jason.
Homelessness. I know, right? Oh. But hunger and homelessness. And so those were his, things. I was like, what's happening here this morning? So I will research some places and plug some projects, if that's okay with you, in your name. And
of course,
that way
if the two that I've given, So the North Texas Food Bank is a big one from my Dallas
Okay.
days. Um, and Springs Mission here in Colorado is the homeless shelter.
Okay. All right. We'll put those out there. And if people, want to check them out and give them a little boost or whatever, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
But I want you, before we depart, I want you to tell me about your days in Alaska and filming the wildlife there. Oh, my mind is blown. Like that's such a
Oh my
dream.
goodness. So I've been fortunate to go, well, I've gone all over the world shooting for other people. Like it's just been the greatest, most amazing thing. And so 2 trips to Alaska. The first one, if you know Cane's Chicken, is that up
Yes.
where you are?
Yeah.
So my client out of Baton Rouge was friends and stuff with the couple of guys who started in Baton Rouge. And they ran this contest several years ago for their employees and like customers to win this trip to follow the journey that they did to go start Cane's. Because when the 2 founders, what they did, they had this idea for it, and they went to LA first and worked like the oil refinery places to get enough money to get to Alaska to then work the crab, those crazy dangerous crab boats. Yeah, because you can make so much money in a short amount of time. So they did that, came back, started Cane's, and that was the thing. So they brought in us to document this whole trip. So we went to LA, stayed at Beverly Hills Hotel, went to LA spots, then out to Alaska. Oh my God, was it amazing. And so my ex-wife, she used to call me animal dumb because before Alaska, I had this great like couple of weeks and then subsequent shoots shooting exotic animals, place called Snake Farm down in there in Texas and stuff like that. And I get, I'm in the cages with them, cages with bears and cages with, that's just, so much fun. She's like, you're an idiot. You got kids, you got kids, right? I'm like, every animal just needs a pet, right? So with Alaska, we got to go to several places and where, it's salmon season, it's where the bears are and stuff like that. And so we were shooting all that stuff. And I remember one day, the closest I got, the most, hey, dummy, maybe this is a good idea, was they were down there fishing, doing the fly fishing thing. And I was like, I don't care about fishing. So I went looking for bears. I was following the tracks along the water and then climbing up into the mountain there, grass up, like chest high that I'm walking through. And like everything in my being was just like, oh my God, am I about to see a giant grizzly? But I didn't come across one. But and then moose are my favorite animal in the world. So we did I got to see my first moose when I was there and stuff.
Wow.
So second trip to Alaska was years later with a guy who owns with Scott. He owns Sharkarosa. It's exotic animal place. He's got a couple black bears, all that stuff. So once again, ex-wife was just like, oh, this is gonna be great. Both of you dummies out there in Alaska. Run around. We were shooting a pilot for a reality show. Amazing little town, McCarthy, Alaska. And the last day we were there, we were chasing black bear through the woods. So it was fun. But yeah. And we saw on the way there, we found moose and all that stuff. So
that is fun. So cool. I thought you were going to tell me that you got on the fishing boat and you were filming on the fishing boat. And I was going to just lose it. But this is also wildly cool. And I cannot imagine doing that. I cannot imagine having a camera and being able to go and do the things that you've done. That's fabulous. So you officially qualify as a legend anyway. So even after
I appreciate that.
88 times 3, how many hundreds of episodes you have now? So you're a legend with the camera, a legend with the critters, a legend with now you're going to be a legend with the coaches, teaching them how to do video content or content.
I appreciate that. I hope so. Well, and I want to thank you for having me on, and thank Mr. Chris Brogan. We got to give him a shout out. You mentioned Brave and all that. That's why we know each other.
Exactly,
He's the
exactly.
greatest.
Before you go, though, I want you to tell us about what you're promoting, so we can hunt you down and find you.
Yeah, well, the best place to go is thejasoncroft.com. That's one of
You
those
said the
sites I put
Jason
together.
Croft.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
I love
And then I'll
it.
send them to Media Leads is my company, but it'll send them to all the shows that I'm doing and all that fun stuff as well.
Okay, awesome. And we'll be able to see week after next, possibly the new coaching program will be live on there out of Evernote.
Absolutely.
And finally, thank you so much. I really have enjoyed this. This has been so much fun, and I have learned immense volumes from you in this little bit of time. So keep in touch, and we'll talk to you soon.
Perfect. Great to see you,
Thank
TD.
you. Good to see you. Take care. Bye. And that's a wrap on this week's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things. Leave me a review so we can help this show get out to other legend makers just like you. And if you're a coach or a service provider who hates writing emails and sales pages and social posts because they're just not making you the money that you want to make, then go to legendmakercopy.com/copy course and check out Cash In. I've written a very special course just for coaches to teach you how to write just the things you need to learn how to write, not to teach you the whole trade of copywriting, but to give you the tools that you need to write the higher profits that you want in your business. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next week.